I'm already opening this. I'm ready to dive in. Welcome to another episode of Blossoms in Bourbon. My name is Mark. I'm the owner here at Creative Occasions. It is a pleasure to welcome you to my workroom. Tonight is going to be fun. We're going to have a really unusual, unique design. We're going to taste a new bourbon. Let's start with that. This is called James Ownby Reserve. It's actually from the Old Smokey Distillery in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Interesting, there's not a ton of stuff online that I could find out about this company. Joe Baker, who is the owner, is actually the 5th great-grandson of James Ownby. And he refers to James Ownby as sort of the founding father of their family. He was a pioneer, one of the first settlers in Tennessee, in the Gatlinburg Great Smoky Mountain area. He is a war veteran from early wars that took place in that area, Civil War era. And so this is kind of an homage to that man. The company is, it was named after him. So let's try it and see what it's like. Good color in the bottom bottle. It's kind of a nice caramel color. Yep, there's definitely some like caramel. It doesn't smell hot. This is actually a 94 proof, so the potential's there for it to be hot. It does have a tiny bit of heat. It's definitely got that caramel, some kind of cinnamon notes, baking spices, which is pretty characteristic of most bourbons. One of the things that I read about this that they refer to it is it's definitely a sipping whiskey that's distinctly Southern. I'm not sure what that means in terms of whiskey, but cheers to it being Southern. James Ownby Reserve. Nice job, guys. All right, let's talk about this arrangement. First of all, the mechanic is going to be a little unusual because it's going to be built up in the branches of the arrangement. And how we're going to do that is this. This is regular Oasis foam. What I've done is just cut it into a little cylinder. And the little cylinder, I've got the, not currently, but I would have the pan melt glue hot. And then you take the little cylinder and you basically just run it into the pan melt glue and you completely coat the sides of it all the way around. So we've left the top and the bottom completely open. And then once this is set up and dried and cold from where it was molten in the pan, it sets up and creates a hard outer surface on the Oasis. That surface is watertight. So you actually, if we did the bottom as well, we could actually create a little container with just this bit of foam and it would be watertight with this hot glue. I'm going to leave the bottom open because I want to access the bottom for floral insertions as well. And then what I did after this was set up and dry is wrapped it with an aspidistra leaf, and then I basically affixed it up into the branches of these arborvitae branches. So we've got one here, we've got one here. That's going to be kind of the mechanic for the design. Now I use the smaller one up a little bit higher because there's going to be some weight associated with this Oasis. It's wet now. After this set up and I wrapped it with the leaf, I did drop it into a container of water and allowed the foam to soak up water so it would serve as a water source for the flowers. So that's going to be kind of where the arrangement is made. It's up in the branches. I think it could be fun. Color scheme for this is going to be a complementary color with purples and oranges. I've got some of my fan favorite, the good old Free Spirit Rose here. And we're just going to cut that pretty short and start off with inserting that directly into this foam. Now we're going to get some dripping out of it because it's water saturated. We're pushing a stem into it, so it's going to push some of the water out. That's completely to be expected. This kind of beautiful purple hyacinth. This type of arrangement is definitely an arrangement that would work for a special event. It is not something that you would want in your home for many days and for long periods of time because it just wouldn't hold up. It doesn't have enough water for that. To cover a little bit of those mechanics, we're going to use some of that beautiful kind of shamrock green hydrangea. Going to go for another rose here. All right, so you can kind of see, I think this is going to be more the front, I believe. So you're looking at the front now. I'm going to work on the back a little bit. These just came into us today from a local farm called Simply Daisies. They're so pretty. I know this is campanula. The farmer called it Canterbury Bells. It's beautiful. It's just got such a lovely shape about it. And one thing I'm doing is kind of extending the line of what we're doing for the florals up to follow the line of the branches. Let's work over here for a sec. I'm going to put a matching Free Spirit rose up in the top. One thing that I did want to point out about this rose is the center is almost completely open in that. And if you really push it out, you can pluck these petals out of the center and you'll get the look of an old-fashioned garden rose. So when the bloom is as mature as that is, it really is, it works beautifully for that. Okay, in my mind, the idea is that these roses are kind of going to be facing each other. The hyacinth stems are hollow, so it's a little, you have to be a little more careful when you're working with those in foam to make sure that you're not damaging the stem so much as you put them in. This Oasis technique with the glue and the binding up into a structure, I first learned in a class with the amazing and incredibly talented Hitomi Gilliam. I was fortunate enough to be in a class that she taught in Oklahoma City a number of years ago, and one of those sort of life-changing experiences for me as a designer, to be able to work in a small group setting. There were only about 15 people, I think, in that class, and to have her tutelage and instruction is just amazing. She taught us so many cool things. Jason asked me how I was going to reach the top of this, by the way, earlier. I said, "You're just going to tippy-toe that?" Yeah. All right. What else do I have? Oh yeah, I wanted to do some iris in this. I thought this might be kind of cool. This iris hadn't completely bloomed open yet. A little tip and trick, if it started to open like that, you can actually just kind of thump it with your finger. And what that does is it kind of gently kind of helps the flower just open up a bit so that then you get that full, beautiful bloom that we desire. Yes, small surface area, a lot of flowers going in that foam. One thing I also did on this branch that's taller, that is going to have significantly more weight to it and be kind of cantilevered up there, is on the bottom of the branch, I actually put 2 wooden Koei picks like these. And the wooden Koei picks, I just kind of taped on the bottom of the branch. You may have noticed that as I was putting it into the foam. And what these will do, the longer that it's in there, is they'll soak up water. You've seen me use those picks before to insert fruit and all sorts of things in arrangements. That's a beautiful part of it, is that they will absorb water, and when they do, they kind of get set in place and they're not going to move. All right, another rose up there. I think I want to do just a little bit more hydrangea. I don't want to get a lot more weight up there. I may use some moss just to cover that little bit of exposed foam. This is variegated aspidistra. We've used aspidistra many times. In this case, I want it to just kind of flow. So I'm going to leave it open like that. I cut it all the way through, so we would have that kind of hanging down effect. And then another technique you've seen us do before is just kind of snip along the spine of the leaf, and we'll just tuck it in there. Kind of do a little twist. I'm sorry you're not going to be able to see this quite as well from this angle. All right, now let me just spin that around. What I did is created just that little loop with the foliage. Another way to just kind of hide that piece of foam up there, that mechanic, but also add some visual textural interest to it too. All right, let's do another one of those down here. I'm not going to be too overly concerned about the bottom of this foam because you really can't see that. And for this, when I'm going to put this end in the foam, but I want it to go through the leaf, so I'm going to just take my knife, cut a little slit there, and feed that through so it will hold that loop down in the foam. And then that's what kind of creates those little loops up there. Okay. All right, there's a hole right there. There's a hole in your bucket, dear Liza, dear Liza. Yeah, let's go for moss. There we go. That moss just tucked in there really nicely without any sort of prompting or without really anything to hold it in place. So one of the things we've done is kind of created two different groupings in two different locations, but we've linked the two of them together with the colors because the colors are the same. We have the faces of those free spirit roses kind of looking at each other. We have the same tonality of the oranges and beautiful purples that are kind of serving as accents. I think I might like just one more purple thing. I have a friend who's a floral designer, one of the most talented and amazing people I know, and his mantra is, it's not done till it's overdone. So we're gonna work on that. A little more moss to cover up this base mechanic. The foam that is sort of holding everything together. I'm just kind of tucking that in along the edge of the Oasis so it'll stay in place. We could use some hairpins to give that some extra security if we need it. And I might do that here on this center section. Just take a little wire, I'm gonna just cut it and simply fold it over into a little hairpin shape like that. And that will work to hold that foam right in place, or the moss, I'm sorry. I think that's sufficiently weird enough. You know, and I'm picking up another flower, so let's, yeah, I love these little ranunculus because they're light, so they would work really well in this design. Yeah, that's good. Just needed that little bit of something down there. All right, let's clean this out so we can take a look at it, and then we can sip some more bourbon. All right, let's just do a little spin. One of the things I love so much about this visually is how your eye moves through the design. Start with the iris at the top, come down through the orange, follows the greenery. The greenery kind of leads it to these flowers that are kind of curved at the bottom and then back up through the top again. So really lots of fun movement in this arrangement. And I don't know, I think it's kind of fun. It's one of those arrangements I want to just sip on this great James Ownby and look at. Thank you guys so much. I hope that if you really would want to support us, that you'll remember to like and subscribe to the videos, of course. Be sure and hit the little bell icon so that you'll be notified of new content. Jason and I are trying really hard to give you guys some fun stuff to watch. So until next time, cheers to you and to flowers every day. Thanks for joining.